July 23, 2026. On a small island off India's eastern coast, a missile thundered into the sky. Seconds later, it intercepted and destroyed a simulated high-speed aerial target exactly as planned. To most people, it looked like just another routine missile test. It wasn't. Because what launched that afternoon from Dr. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam Island, formerly Wheeler Island off the coast of Odisha, represented something India had been quietly building for years. It was the first public demonstration of Project Kusha, India's first indigenous long-range air defense missile system. Unlike previous systems purchased from abroad, Project Kusha is designed to be built almost entirely within India. The project is being developed by the Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, and is intended to become the backbone of a future nationwide multi-layered air defense network capable of protecting military bases, strategic assets, and major population centers from a wide range of aerial threats. Its successful maiden flight test marked a major milestone in one of India's most ambitious indigenous defense programs. Yet outside India, the launch attracted surprisingly little attention. While headlines remain dominated by conflicts in Europe, the Middle East, and the Indo-Pacific, this test passed quietly across much of the international media. Military planners, however, rarely overlook developments like this. Inside defense headquarters in Beijing, Islamabad, Moscow, and Washington, analysts were almost certainly studying every available image, radar track, and official statement, because very few countries have successfully designed an indigenous, long-range integrated air defense system. For decades, that exclusive group has included systems like America's Patriot, Russia's S-400 Triumph, and China's HQ-9. Each represents years of research, advanced radar technology, sophisticated command and control networks, and highly capable interceptor missiles working together as a single defensive shield. India now intends to join that exclusive club. And if Project Kusha reaches full operational capability, it could become one of the most significant milestones in India's defense modernization. But this project isn't simply about building another missile, it's about building an entire air defense ecosystem. Project Kusha is designed around a layered defense architecture. At its outermost layer are long-range interceptor missiles, capable of engaging hostile aircraft and incoming threats hundreds of kilometers away. Supporting them are powerful indigenous phased array radar systems that continuously scan vast sections of airspace, detecting and tracking multiple targets simultaneously. Every radar and missile launcher is connected through an integrated command and control network that shares targeting information in real time, allowing different units to coordinate as a single system. Behind the long-range layer, medium-range air defense batteries provide additional protection. Closer to vital military installations and cities, short-range air defense systems form the final shield against threats that penetrate the outer layers. Together, these layers are designed to counter fighter aircraft, cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, drones, unmanned aerial vehicles, precision-guided weapons, and other standoff threats. Instead of relying on a single missile battery, Project Kusha aims to create an interconnected defensive network where every radar, launcher, and command vehicle operates as one coordinated system. That level of integration is what separates a modern integrated air defense system from a collection of individual missile launchers. But why invest billions of dollars developing such a complex system when India already operates one of the world's most respected air defense platforms? The answer begins with a deal signed nearly 8 years earlier. On October 5, 2018, India signed a $5.43 billion agreement with Russia to purchase 5 regiments of the S-400 Triumph. The acquisition dramatically strengthened India's ability to defend against hostile aircraft and missile attacks. The S-400 remains one of the most capable long-range air defense systems ever built. Its powerful radars can track numerous aerial targets simultaneously, while its interceptor missiles are designed to engage aircraft, cruise missiles, and certain ballistic missile threats across multiple engagement ranges. For India, the S-400 provided an immediate and highly capable defensive shield, but it also highlighted a strategic challenge that every nation eventually faces. No matter how advanced an imported weapon system may be, ownership is not the same as complete control. Critical technologies remain with the original manufacturer. Software updates depend on the supplier. Specialized spare parts must often come from overseas. Future upgrades require continued cooperation with the exporting nation. In peacetime, these dependencies may seem manageable. But during prolonged conflicts, sanctions, geopolitical tensions, or disruptions to international supply chains, they can quickly become strategic vulnerabilities. India's defense planners understood that true strategic autonomy required more than importing advanced systems. It required designing, manufacturing, maintaining, and continuously upgrading those systems at home. That realization became one of the driving forces behind Project Kusha. DRDO wasn't trying to build a licensed copy of the S-400, nor was it attempting to make a slightly improved version of an existing foreign design. Its objective was far more ambitious: to develop an entirely indigenous long-range air defense system using Indian interceptor missiles, Indian radar technology, Indian command and control software, and an Indian industrial supply chain capable of supporting the system throughout its operational life. If successful, Project Kusha would reduce dependence on foreign suppliers while giving India greater control over future upgrades, maintenance, production, and technological innovation. And that could fundamentally reshape India's position in the global defense industry. Because Project Kusha isn't simply about replacing imported missile systems, it's about ensuring that India's air defense and the technology behind it remains firmly under India's own control. But building such a system is one thing. Understanding how it actually works is another. So what exactly is Project Kusha? How is its multi-layered defense architecture designed to protect India's skies? And what technologies make it one of DRDO's most ambitious military programs to date? That's where our story continues. Project Kusha, Part 2, Inside India's Indigenous Air Defense Shield. So, what exactly is Project Kusha? At first glance, it looks like another truck carrying large missile launch tubes. But in reality, those launchers are only one part of a much larger system. Project Kusha isn't a single missile. It is an integrated, multi-layered air defense network designed to detect, track, identify, and destroy multiple aerial threats simultaneously. Think of it as an invisible defensive shield stretching across hundreds of kilometers of Indian airspace. Every launcher, radar, communication vehicle, and command center works together as one coordinated system. That coordination is what gives Project Kusha its true strength. More than just missiles. Unlike conventional missile batteries that operate independently, Project Kusha combines several different components into a single defensive network. At the front are the interceptor launchers. Each launcher carries multiple vertically launched interceptor missiles inside sealed canisters, allowing them to remain ready for immediate deployment under virtually all weather conditions. These launchers are mounted on highly mobile transporter vehicles, allowing them to relocate quickly if required. Mobility makes the system far more difficult to target during wartime, while allowing rapid deployment to areas where threats may emerge. But surprisingly, the launchers themselves are not the most important part of the system. That role belongs to the radar. The eyes of the shield. Standing beside the missile launchers is a massive active electronically scanned array, or AESA radar. Unlike older mechanically rotating radars, an AESA radar electronically steers its radar beams at incredible speed, without physically moving the antenna for every scan. This allows it to monitor enormous sections of airspace continuously, while tracking numerous targets at the same time. Whether the threat is a high-flying fighter aircraft, a sea-skimming cruise missile, or a fast-moving drone, the radar is constantly searching. The moment an object enters its surveillance zone, the radar begins calculating its speed, altitude, heading, and probable destination. Within seconds, the entire network knows exactly where that target is. But detecting a threat is only the beginning. Someone, or rather something, must decide how to respond. The brain behind the network. Behind every launcher and radar sits another critical component: the integrated command and control system. This is the digital brain of Project Kusha. Instead of each missile battery making its own decisions independently, every radar and launcher shares information through a secure communications network. Data collected from multiple sensors is combined into a single operational picture. The system automatically evaluates incoming threats. Which target is the most dangerous? Which launcher has the best firing solution? How many interceptor missiles should be launched? Can one battery engage multiple targets simultaneously? These decisions happen within seconds. Operators continue monitoring the situation, but much of the target assignment and engagement process is designed to occur automatically, dramatically reducing reaction time during an attack. The result is a synchronized defense network, rather than isolated missile batteries. Building a multi-layered shield. One of Project Kusha's defining characteristics is its layered defense architecture. Instead of relying on a single interception opportunity, Incoming threats face multiple defensive rings. The outermost layer is the long-range interception zone. Here, powerful interceptor missiles attempt to destroy hostile aircraft or missiles while they remain hundreds of kilometers away from their intended targets. If a threat survives, or multiple threats arrive simultaneously, the next defensive layer takes over. Medium-range missile systems engage targets that have penetrated deeper into protected airspace. Finally, closer to critical infrastructure, air bases, naval facilities, government buildings, and major cities, short-range air defense systems provide the final line of protection. Each layer complements the others. If one interceptor misses, another layer still has an opportunity to engage. This significantly increases the probability of successfully neutralizing incoming threats. Rather than depending on one missile, Project Kusha creates multiple opportunities to stop an attack before it reaches its target, designed to counter modern threats. Today's battlefields look very different from those of previous decades. Modern air defense systems can no longer focus solely on fighter aircraft. Project Kusha has been designed with a much broader threat spectrum in mind. Its radar and interceptor network is expected to engage conventional fighter aircraft attempting to penetrate Indian airspace. It is also intended to intercept low-flying cruise missiles that use terrain masking to avoid radar detection. Fast-moving ballistic missile threats present an entirely different challenge because of their extremely high speed and steep descent. Unmanned aerial vehicles and military drones add yet another layer of complexity. Many are small, difficult to detect, and can attack in large numbers. Modern precision-guided munitions and long-range standoff weapons allow enemy aircraft to launch attacks without ever crossing national borders. Every one of these threats requires different tracking methods, different interception calculations, and different engagement strategies. Project Kusha is being designed to integrate all of those capabilities into one coordinated system. Mission Sudarshan Chakra. Project Kusha is also expected to become an important part of a much larger national vision. Known as Mission Sudarshan Chakra, the initiative aims to establish a nationwide multi-layered missile defense architecture capable of protecting India's most critical assets: military bases, strategic command centers, industrial facilities, critical infrastructure, major population centers. Rather than protecting only individual locations, the long-term objective is to create overlapping defensive coverage across the country. Every radar station would share information with neighboring batteries. Every interceptor launcher would become part of one national defensive network. This approach dramatically improves situational awareness, while ensuring that threats detected by one sensor can be engaged by another battery if necessary. The result is a far more resilient defense system. Why indigenous development matters. Perhaps the most important aspect of Project Kusha isn't its range, or its missiles, or even its radar. Its ownership. Every major component is being designed and developed within India. Indian engineers, Indian software, Indian radar technology, Indian manufacturing, Indian maintenance, Indian upgrades. That means future improvements no longer depend entirely on foreign suppliers or external political decisions. As threats evolve, DRDO can modify software, improve interceptor performance, introduce new radar capabilities, and integrate future technologies without waiting for overseas approval. This flexibility could allow Project Kusha to remain operationally relevant for decades. And because manufacturing, logistics, maintenance, and modernization are expected to occur domestically, India could significantly reduce long-term dependence on expensive foreign support infrastructure. But even the most advanced technology must ultimately answer one question: how does it compare with the world's best? Can Project Kusha stand alongside the American Patriot, the Russian S-400 Triumph, and China's HQ-9? Or could it eventually surpass some of them in specific areas? That's the question we'll explore next. Project Kusha. Part 3. Can Project Kusha compete with the world's best? By now, it's clear that Project Kusha is far more than another missile program. It's India's attempt to build an entire indigenous air defense ecosystem. But the obvious question remains: how does it compare with the world's most capable systems? Because whether India likes it or not, every new long-range air defense system is inevitably measured against three established names: the American Patriot, the Russian S-400 Triumph, and China's HQ-9. Each has been developed over decades, refined through continuous upgrades, and integrated into national defense networks. Project Kusha now enters that conversation, not as a replacement for every existing system overnight, but as India's first serious attempt to join this exclusive group with technology developed at home. Different systems, different philosophies. Although all four systems belong to the category of long-range air defense, they were designed with different priorities. The American Patriot has earned its reputation through decades of operational service and repeated modernization. It has been deployed by numerous allied nations and has demonstrated its capabilities against aircraft, cruise missiles, and ballistic missile threats. Russia's S-400 was designed with an emphasis on long engagement ranges and the ability to track and engage multiple targets simultaneously using several different interceptor missiles. China's HQ-9 combines indigenous developments with technologies inspired by earlier Soviet and Western systems, providing China with its own long-range, integrated air defense capability. Project Kusha follows a different path. Rather than copying any one system, DRDO has designed it around India's own operational requirements, geography, industrial base, and future defense strategy. Its goal isn't simply to replicate foreign technology, it's to create an air defense system that can evolve independently for decades. The advantage of building at home performance is only one measure of a military system. Ownership is another. When a country imports advanced defense equipment, it gains capability. But it also accepts certain limitations. Major upgrades usually require approval from the original manufacturer. Critical software remains under foreign control. Replacement parts may depend on international supply chains. Technical support often requires continued cooperation between governments. These challenges become far more significant during periods of geopolitical tension. Project Kusha seeks to eliminate many of those uncertainties, because every major component, from interceptor missiles and radar systems to software and command networks, is being developed domestically. That gives India much greater flexibility to modernize the system whenever new threats emerge. Instead of waiting for another country to introduce improvements, Indian engineers can develop and integrate new technologies themselves. Over the life of the system, that flexibility may prove just as valuable as raw performance. The economics of independence. Another important advantage lies in long-term sustainability. Buying an advanced missile system is only the beginning. Over the following decades, governments must pay for maintenance, replacement components, software updates, technical support, training, and modernization. These lifecycle costs often exceed the original purchase price. An indigenous system changes that equation. Domestic manufacturing creates local supply chains. Maintenance facilities remain inside the country. Software development continues under national control. Engineers can upgrade the system without relying entirely on foreign contractors. Although official cost comparisons between Project Kusha and systems like the Patriot or S-400 have not been publicly released, domestic production has the potential to reduce long-term operational costs while strengthening India's defense industry. Equally important, every investment made in Project Kusha also strengthens India's own technological ecosystem. The knowledge remains inside the country, the workforce gains experience, the industrial base continues to grow. Building a national air defense network, Project Kusha, was never intended to operate alone. Its real strength comes from integration. Future Indian air defense is expected to combine long-range systems like Project Kusha with medium-range missile batteries, short-range air defense systems, airborne early warning aircraft, ground-based surveillance radars, naval sensors, and space-based assets. Together, these platforms can create a common operational picture, covering enormous areas of Indian airspace. If one radar detects a threat, that information can be shared instantly across the network. A missile battery hundreds of kilometers away may ultimately perform the interception. This network-centric approach greatly increases flexibility, while making the overall defense architecture more resilient. Even if one component is damaged or destroyed, other elements of the network can continue operating. Modern warfare increasingly depends not on individual weapons, but on how effectively every sensor, launcher, and command center works together. Project Kusha has been designed with exactly that philosophy in mind. Looking toward the future. Although the first successful public test marks a major milestone, Project Kusha is still evolving. Future versions could introduce more advanced interceptor missiles with greater speed and longer engagement ranges. Improved radar technology may increase detection capability against stealthier and faster targets. Artificial intelligence could assist operators by processing enormous amounts of battlefield data and recommending optimal engagement decisions within seconds. Future upgrades may also strengthen integration with airborne early warning aircraft, satellites, naval forces, and other branches of India's armed services. As these capabilities mature, Project Kusha could become one of the central pillars of India's integrated air defense architecture. Beyond India's borders, Project Kusha could also influence India's position in the international defense market. Many countries seek advanced air defense systems but face high acquisition costs, export restrictions, or political conditions attached to foreign military equipment. If Project Kusha proves reliable, effective, and economically competitive, India could eventually offer an indigenous alternative to selected international partners, subject to government policy and export approvals. Such exports would strengthen India's defense manufacturing sector while expanding its strategic partnerships abroad. Although any future export decisions remain speculative, the possibility illustrates how indigenous defense programs can create both military and economic advantages. A new chapter in India's defense story. On July 23, 2026, a missile rose into the sky above the Bay of Bengal. For most of the world, it was another routine weapons test. For India, it represented something much larger, a declaration that the country intends to design, build, maintain, and continuously improve one of the most complex military systems any nation can develop. Project Kusha is not simply about replacing imported equipment. It is about technological independence, industrial self-reliance, strategic autonomy, and the ability to protect India's skies using systems designed by Indian scientists, built by Indian industry, and supported by Indian innovation. Whether Project Kusha ultimately matches or exceeds the capabilities of the world's leading long-range air defense systems will only become clear after years of operational deployment and future testing. But one fact is already beyond dispute. India is no longer content with purchasing advanced air defense technology. It is building the next generation itself, and that may prove to be Project Kusha's greatest achievement. Project Kusha is still in its early stages. Many of its most advanced capabilities will only be proven through future testing, operational deployment, and years of continuous development. But even today, one thing is already clear. This project represents far more than a new missile. It represents India's determination to build the technologies that will protect its own skies for decades to come. From indigenous radar systems and command networks to interceptor missiles designed and manufactured at home, Project Kusha marks another important step toward greater strategic self-reliance. Whether it eventually stands alongside or even surpasses the world's leading long-range air defense systems remains a question only time can answer. But the journey has already begun, and the world will be watching every milestone that follows. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Project Kusha, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next documentary on the world's most advanced military technologies. What do you think? Can Project Kusha become a true rival to systems like the Patriot, S-400, and HQ-9? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.